Welcome into Moving the Chains, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. I'm Kevin Thomas alongside Jerel Hendricks here for our Week 9 Folly Row recap show. Jerel, another wild week across the state. Man, we saw some blowouts, some upsets. We saw some games not even get played that we were expecting to be big matchups.
Yeah. We got all kinds of stuff this week. It was a lot of fun to keep up with the scores as they rolled in again. The one that we were supposed to go to got canceled. We'll talk about that a little bit later in the program, but some fantastic football. I mean, we're starting to see it now towards the end of the year, some comers and goers, some teams that are playing some solid football and really making their mark as, we hit this stretch run, deciding these regions and getting into seeding, RPI, all that fun stuff for the playoffs here in a couple weeks.
Exactly right. Saw some region titles decided, some playoff seeding still to be determined, but a lot of that was made a little bit clearer last week for sure. But as always, guys, follow us on Facebook, Twitter /X, Instagram, YouTube, and more at Movin Chains, MOVINCHAINS. Our website, movingchains.com. Our podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. We do a weekly preview show about 7:15 on Facebook and YouTube. We go live for that on Tuesday nights. It's a lot of fun. Tune in and join us for that. We do our recap show, comes out on Sunday nights or Monday mornings. We have coach interviews, player interviews, lots of great stuff throughout the week as well. So tune into all of our social media platforms for that. Get your Moving the Chains merch. We have some great hoodies, some great T-shirts, some great toboggans and hats. All of it we have posted on our Facebook page, our Twitter page as well. Check that out. You can email us at mtcgear.sc@gmail.com, mtcgear.sc@gmail.com, or you can send us a message on our social platforms as well. Really high quality stuff. Joe, I know we've been wearing our hoodies the last couple weeks. It's got a little bit chillier out there. That's good stuff. The T-shirts are good stuff as well, man. I love the gear that we have right now. I really do.
Most definitely everything. I've worn out a Richardson hat, which is dang near impossible to do because it's quality stuff. But I love it so much. It goes with a bunch of different things that I have. So I wear it summer, spring, fall, winter, all seasons. Hoodies are all obviously one of my favorite things to wear. I'm a big shorts guy, so I've always got a hoodie on, especially in the wintertime. I do not have a toboggan yet. I have to get myself one of those as we start getting a little bit chillier. But definitely check out that merch. Support the brand, support the boys. In addition to our merch, please go check out our show sponsor, Folly Row, their website. Go order some things like that. Christmas is around the corner. Go get dad, grandpa, uncle, aunt, something, to wear for Folly Row. We really appreciate them supporting our show so we can bring you a recap each and every week.
Put Founders in the game and win big with our great rates. Whether you're looking for a loan or want to grow your money with a certificate, Founders Federal Credit Union can help you move the chains on your financial goals. Not a member? No problem. Visit foundersfcu.com to see if you qualify. Federally insured by NCUA. Membership qualification required. Equal housing lender. Terms and conditions.
Come for the deals and stay for the quality with Folly Row. From polos to Q-zips to hats and more, their moisture-wicking, quick-drying, and anti-wrinkle apparel is the perfect blend of comfort and fashion for game day. FollyRow.com and at Folly Row on social media. Folly Row. Very good polos.
Our Carolina Orthopedic and Neurosurgical Associates games of the week, Jerel. 5 of the biggest games across the state. Let's go through those, and then we'll move on to the next portion of the scoreboard.
I just really appreciate you saying orthopedic and neurosurgical associates every week. I would butcher that. So we definitely appreciate our friends at Kona. Go check them out. But we started off this week with our Skeeza game of the week. This one was very, very special. Went down to Mullins, had to make an audible on the ride down. We were going to go check out that Loris-Marlboro County game. But what a concession that we had, to go down to Mullins and see PD Academy. My first Skeeza game that I've ever seen. I know it's a homecoming for you, so it was really special. But PD Academy is able to get it done. They hold off Bethesda, utilizing a strong rushing attack, especially in the second half, and win it 25-22 in this pivotal 2A game, lock up the region, and really set the stage for them to make a run in the playoffs.
A really fun ball game too, Jerel. I think it was 8-8 into the first quarter, 14-11 Bethesda at half, and then PD Academy, like you said, just lean on those boys. Second half, 200 plus on the ground in that second half behind a big performance from Tristan Heckman and Colby Richardson. It was a lot of fun to see that game. It felt like PD at such a second half just really dominated. They really controlled the line of scrimmage, controlled the game. I know Bethesda hit a late deep touchdown pass, but even then, the kickoff, PD has a miscue there. They fall on the ball. Think about the 5-yard line. They fall on it, and they run out the clock. Over the next 4 or 5 minutes. Man, just an unreal drive there for the Golden Eagles. A huge win to get that home field advantage, like you said. In Skeeza, we talked to Coach King afterwards, getting that home game is huge because in Skeeza, you could be traveling 2+ hours, just to get to your closest opponent. So getting those games at Lon Spivey Field was huge for those guys. Man, a great atmosphere, a fun atmosphere. Obviously, it wasn't our plan on Friday to get there, but I'm glad we did, man. It was awesome to be at that ball game.
Most definitely. I mean, we get a lot of love shown to us for what we do, covering high school football independently. But we've never gotten a reception, I don't think, like we did at PD. It was very special. I want to thank everyone who was involved with that, from coaches to players to fans, the community there. It was fantastic. Mike's Grill, we got Food Review Friday coming out later in the week. Had an epic hot dog, there. But just a great atmosphere down there at the lawn, as they like to call it. But it was fantastic. Great game as well. Want to give a shout out to Bethesda as well. Tons of athletes all over the field. They were making plays. Like you mentioned, late in that second half, they made things kind of interesting for sure. That sequence when they hit that long touchdown pass and then, had the little kickoff miscue there. But PD that run game was just something serious. Got to give a shout out, to Coach Drew there for sticking with it, man. You see these situations, especially high school, college, where something's working and, the OC wants to get a little fancy or something like that. And he was like, nah, we're just going to pound the ball, take control of this game. And defense really held up as well. So it was a good win for the Golden Eagles there. And I just can't say enough about the environment and the hospitality that we received.
Yeah, and what's cool about this, Jerel, is we're probably going to see that game again here in a few weeks. We think those are probably the two best teams in 2A. Yeah, so certainly could see them matching up over at Charleston Southern for that state title in 2A. But, man, just a fantastic ball game, two really good teams, two teams that, felt fairly even throughout the night. I think PD obviously had a little bit more depth and talent, but Bethesda was really good as well, man. Now, they scored right away. First drive, we're like, this is going to be a tight one here, but the Eagles answered back. And I do want to say this, obviously, Skeeza sometimes gets a bad rap for not having the quality of athletes or the teams. I mean, there were some ball players out there. I mean, we mentioned, Colby Richardson, the left-handed pitcher going to Coastal playing quarterback for the Eagles. I mean, you got Miles Trussell just, head tapping Mawson guys on big time plays there. There were some athletes on both sides too, man. It wasn't a much lower quality ball game like some folks might think. There was definitely some playmakers out there. It was a good game to see, a real interesting game. I thought both sides for PD, offense and defense, both played really well throughout the night. Give a couple big plays here and there, but it was fun to watch. I know, we always shout out tons of people we saw at the game. It's going to take us 2-3 minutes to do all that. It's going to be so I'm about to say that for later on in the show, man. But
for sure.
Awesome to get to that ball game and a great win by the Golden Eagles.
Yeah, man, tons of talent, on both sides there. It was great to see. And you talk about, high school league teams talking about Skeeza. I mean, we've seen it in the upper classifications of Skeeza. They've gone toe-to-toe with those guys and beat them. Yep. Some very good high school league teams. So it was quality football that we saw there. Again, PD winning that one 25-22.
One more thing. We do have interviews with Miles Trussell, senior athlete, receiver, whatever you want to call him there. After the game, he caught up with Jerel. We had Coach King as well. Those are on our Facebook, our X pages, our Instagram, YouTube, all of that. So definitely check out those interviews as well if you missed those on Friday night.
Most definitely. Well, let's kick it back to the high school league. This was I know this environment was crazy between Saluda and Strom Thurman. The game was played at Saluda, and the Tigers, man, they just flexed their muscles. They win this one 35-25. This is a Saluda team that they haven't, I won't say played the most difficult, challenging schedule. So they've kind of been laying in the weeds when it comes to us. I have personally undervalued them, but that is not the case anymore with this big time win over Thurman. Snapped a lot of streaks. A lot of Thurman fans were on the pregame show chat talking about how it was their house and things like that. But the Tigers definitely proved otherwise on Friday night.
The offense for Saluda, man, I didn't think they had much of an offense, man, but they showed up on Friday against a good Thurman defense, put up 35 points. I think they rushed for, I can't remember how many yards. I know that Braden Williams had like a $150 and a touchdown. I think Tristan Daniels had 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter alone. Coach Young, man, those guys rolling right now. We knew the defense was good. They played good defense all year long. But to score 35 on what we think is a pretty good Thurman team was really impressive, man. They are a force in 2A. I think we're going to put them pretty high on our poll this week.
Yeah, man, I'll definitely eat my crow. That's a huge win, but it does not get any easier, man, because Batesburg Leesville is lurking for both of these teams. They have yet to play them. I think Saluda gets them next week, and then Thurman the following week. So the Panthers are lurking, but I think the Tigers should definitely take this weekend to celebrate that win. That is a big one. Rivalry game there, so I'm sure it was a lot of fun. That's a big-time win, 35-25. Probably the shocker of the night as far as a score line and two teams that we think were very good, and it proved that one was great and one might just be very good, and that's Hunter Kennard Tyler, HKT. They knock off Blackfield Hill to 38-6, Kevin. Blackfield Hill is a team that we've had consistently in the top 3 of our poll. I mean, we saw them week 0. They played Barnwell, who was a fantastic team in 2A, very tough, and they just get their doors blown off in this one. I mean, we've been told about how good this HKT team is, but we did not know that they were this good.
The Fighting Hawks were up 6-0 in this game too, Jerel, and then it just absolutely fell apart for them in this one, man. HKT just, like you said, we've heard things about them, but they played Louisville and didn't really have a chance in that game. We're like, all right, who they played, yada yada yada. That was super impressive, man, what they did. I think if I remember correctly, I was reading the box score Friday. I think they had a 22-0 second quarter in this game to really just pull away behind that big run game they've got there. Those big physical boys up front. Man, HKT, super, super great win for them. They're a team that's going to shoot up in our polls, I think, this week. Blackfield Hilda, not sure what to make of them now. A team that we thought, could possibly compete for maybe making a deep run to that upper state final, even farther possibly, just to get blown out like that, what was super surprising.
Most definitely. I mean, these are two teams that, our poll is very volatile. So it's one of those things where we're going to see HKT shoot up and we're going to see Blackfield Hill to shoot down if they're able to hang on, because we only do a top 5 here. So in 1A is very competitive. So that is an impressive performance. I mean, we should have known this the way they went and ruined ODub's homecoming. That's a very good ODub team this year. So that's a fantastic performance, and we'll definitely have to show those guys a lot more love as we start to enter the playoffs here in a couple weeks. But kicking it down to the low country, had James Island and Ashley Ridge. This is an Ashley Ridge team that took Somerville to the brink last week, and it seems like they had a little bit of a letdown against Coach McCoy's Trojans there. They fall 30-20 in this one. The first ever win in the series for James Island. Big time win for James Island there. I mean, they have played great defense all year, but it looks like they got the offense going on Friday.
I think they started to rally too. We mentioned it last week, how they lost in their best offensive weapon, midweek, transfers down to Florida. Yeah. They come up with a big win over Fort D, 2 weeks ago. And this week they get a nice win over a good AR team, putting up 30 points too, which is a surprise for them.
Yes.
They may have used that kind of as a rallying cry for Coach McCoy's bunch. Like, hey, this guy's going to leave us. You know what? We're going to play some ball. We don't need him. Here we go. And they are getting hot at the right time. They are a team that we have not talked a whole lot about in 5A this year. Have not been super impressive, but that's 2 good wins in a row for that bunch now.
Most definitely. And that's another thing. That's a jump that they had to make this year. I mean, they were very, very competitive, very much in the mix in a very competitive 4A last year. They make that jump up to 5A. It's been a little difficult as they've gotten started, replacing a lot of talent, but it seems like they've started to hit their stride down the stretch. And that is a big time win and a big time boost, for that program. Then you look at Ashley Ridge, did that loss to Somerville beat them 2 weeks in a row? I don't know. I don't think you can use that as an excuse because this is a big-time region matchup, but that is not a good look for them. It's another, 2 teams as we go down the stretch moving in different directions. And then the final game, game of the week, I don't know what you want to say about this one, was canceled, forfeit, whatever it is, Loris, Marlboro County. This was supposed to be for a share of the region. Kevin, man, I don't know what to make of this. Obviously, there's rumors aplenty about what's going on there at Marlboro County and why this game was not played. But we want to, send flowers to Loris. I mean, they were able to win this game by default and win a region championship. I think it's their first region championship in a pretty long time, maybe like 2000, something like that. I'm not sure what the actual year was. I saw it earlier on social media, but the Lions get it done. They make you look like a genius. They've pretty much sewn that thing up. But I really, really wish this game would have gotten played.
Yeah, I mean, I picked Loris on Tuesday on the show. I knew it was going to go down like this. So just an easy victory there. The pick 'em. Nah, man, obviously I've loved this Loris team all year. I thought they've been really good, really, kind of flew under the radar early on, but they've made some nice strides, beating Dillon. I was like, this team is legit, man. But obviously wanted to see this game played. Don't know all the circumstances. Obviously, said there's rumors flying around. We're not going to get into that. We'll see what happens here in the next few weeks, but they're saying it's due to lighting, a lighting issue at the stadium. Couldn't agree to a rescheduled date. I don't know. But, long story short, Marbury County forfeits. Loris wins. Loris wins the region. Move on to next week, I guess.
That is it. Arcona games of the week. In our SCSA matchup, we had PD Academy knocking off Bethesda 25-22. Saluda over Strom Thurmond knocking off the rival 35-25, and they led throughout. HKT huge over Blackfield Hill to 38-6. Had James Island with an impressive victory over Ashley Ridge 30-20, and Loris knocks off Marlboro County 2-0. Kevin, let's jump down to our HTC Hometown Connection game of the week. And this one had no shortage of points here. It's Carolina Forest and Myrtle Beach. Carolina Forest just puts it on them. I mean, they just continued to light up the scoreboard. They win at 52-38.
This game was 17 all at halftime. And then Carolina Forest just pulls away behind a huge game from Jaron Fox. I don't want to give away his stats now because you're going to hear it in a little bit in our Player of the Week segment, but he had a monster evening for the Panthers there. Coach Morris's team is hitting their stride too, man. Another team that's peaking at the right time, played a tough non-region schedule, but now undefeated in region, in the driver's seat. They played North Myrtle Beach, I believe, who was also undefeated, but they are in the catbird seat for sure in that beach region. Love what they're doing. The team seem to always be a tough offensive team, especially. They may be ready to make a little bit of a run here in the playoffs, Jerel.
We'll definitely have to tread a little lightly with making the projections for Carolina Forest, but this is an impressive performance. Gotta love taking control there of the region. Big-time offensive performance, 52 points. Anytime you light up the scoreboard like that in high school, you're getting it done, especially against a quality opponent like Myrtle Beach. But that is our HTC Hometown Connection game of the week. We highlight a game in Horry, Marion, or Georgetown counties each week. If you are in that area, please hit up our new friends at HTC. Let's talk about an old friend, our favorite friend, Hannah Engineering in the Pick'em contest. Favorite thing that we do here at the program. We'll look at these games, and we'll start off with Central Pageland knocking off Chesterfield 34-8. This is a big-time performance by Pageland. I mean, they've done well this year. I mean, it's been mostly good here. Chesterfield, we know they started off really hot, starting off the season 4-0. They've gotten into region play. Kind of, coming back a little bit in Coach Quinn's first year. But this is an impressive performance by Central Pageland here.
Coach Eason, year one, has done a really good job with Central, man. They are a team that has won some big games. They beat Lamar earlier in the year, obviously, have made a nice run now in region play, losing to Jerel only so far. They're a solid football team, man. Lots of athletes there, Trey Jackson and whatnot. Those kids are playing good football. On the other side, Chesterfield, I think, there's still a building process there for Coach Quinn. Like I said, it started off super hot, but got in region play, struggled some. They're a team that's going to take a year or two to really get to that next level, I feel like. But Central, great win for those guys.
Kicking it back to one of the most competitive and best regions in the state. That's Region 2 and 5A in the upstate. We had Bowling Springs and Riverside. And how about the Bulldogs finally getting that offense rolling? They win this one 41-6 over Riverside. I know Riverside's dealing with some injuries. The Warriors have had a solid season this year, but it sounds like they ran into an absolute buzzsaw with that Bowling Springs offense.
Much needed win for the Bulldogs. I thought about it on Tuesday, actually picking Riverside. What we saw from the previous week, where Riverside hangs tough with Gaffney, comes down to a fourth quarter play where they lose that ball game. Bowling Springs getting the doors blown off by Spartanburg. I was like, you know what, the Warriors might be ready to make this jump here, but Bowling Springs comes out. Great offensive performance. Husky got going finally, it feels like. And the defense, we know that they're solid on that side of the football. But big win for Coach Real and the boys there.
Back to the low country, we had Bishop England and Bluffton. The battling Bishops win this one 28-24. Utilize a big second half comeback to get this one done. Coach Hall has done a fantastic job his first year here. These guys moved up to 4A this year. They have been playing fantastic. I think they moved to 7-2 on the season. I mean, just an impressive performance by these guys. Baylog and Mahoney have really led them throughout on the offensive side. Really impressed by what Bishop England is doing here.
Awesome season for those guys. I mean, a team that a lot of folks thought would not compete at all at this level, especially this year, going up from 2A to 4A now. And just a number of bodies they were going to have, man. But they outscored Bluffton 14-0 in the fourth quarter to win this football game. That was just awesome to see from Coach Hodges' bunch. There's no quit in them at all. Just a fantastic win for the Battling Bishops.
Staying in the low country, man. These last few games actually in the low country. We got Berkeley and Lucy Beckham, the Stags. They get enough offense. They win this one 30-9 over Lucy Beckham. Beckham's still kind of figuring out the offense there. But this is a good win for Berkeley. They've kind of had an up and down go of it a lot of this season. Still got some young pieces there, but this is an impressive win for those guys.
They've stayed a couple nice wins in a row after that tough loss to Goose Creek that we didn't see coming. They've had a couple nice victories in a row now over Wando and Lucy Beckham, by large margins like they should have. They really came out and dominated like they should. And Coach Lodge, has got those boys back on the right track. It feels like a nice game against Cane Bay. I think they're off this week, so they'll play Cane Bay in 2 weeks there to finish out their regular season. But playing good football there now for the Stags.
How about Coach Ben Diggs, Phillip Simmons squad? They knock off Timberland 21-7. I mean, this is a team that we have not talked about as much as we should have this year. I feel like lost some key pieces from last year's squad that was very, very talented, but they continue to win. I mean, this is a good culture, a good program that Coach Ben Diggs has built there. Just continue to get it done, and another impressive performance by these guys.
Yeah, Tavian Oriana, the guy who, quarterback did not have to make a lot of plays last year because they had the two-headed monster running back. This year's making plays at quarterback. I think he had 13 completions, 2 touchdowns on Friday night. A very balanced rushing attack now with Oriana and Porter and Walker there for Coach Bendig's boot group. Man, they are just kind of flying under the radar, it feels like, but I think that probably locks up the region for them, I think, at this point.
I think so.
Not 100% sure, but I believe it does. They continue to roll, man. They're a team in 2A lower state that has been very overlooked by us and everybody else, I feel like, too. But, hey, they are, sitting right there ready to make a deep run, it feels like.
Again, our Hannah Engineering Pickup Contest games, we had Central Pageland over Chesterfield 34-8. Bowling Springs rolls Riverside 41-6. Bishop England wins a tight one over Bluffton 28-24. Berkeley over Lucy Beckham 30-9. And Phillip Simmons continues to play good football. They knock off Timberland 21-7.
At HTC, we're here to keep you connected. Here to provide reliable fiber optic internet with free, fast, and secure HTC Smart Wi-Fi. HTC, here to connect.
With 3 convenient locations in Spartanburg, Duncan, and Greenville, Carolina Orthopedic and Neurosurgical Associates, Kona, offers the most advanced training and experience in orthopedic surgery, neurosurgery, sports medicine, and pain management in the upstate. Go to kona.care to learn more.
Let's look now, Jerel, at our stock up segment. Teams that, impressed us this week. We think a little higher of them after a nice win or even just a nice performance last week. A couple I've got here. Dorman. I mean, that huge win over Gaffney, a Gaffney team that has been top, 3 in our poll all season long. Dorman, a team that we thought had kind of shot their wad already and was kind of falling off a cliff. Come back with a big win over the Indians is huge for Coach Morrison and the boys there. And then St. Joe's, a team that we have not talked a lot about. They get a win over a solid Palmetto team. William Gillespie, a big game for them. Great win for that bunch over there, the Knights.
Yeah, 2 teams that we just talked about that were part of our games of the week in Pick'em contest. You get Saluda, big rivalry win over Strom Thurmond. That sets up, leaves them in the contest, to really win a region championship. Got to play Batesburg, Leesville, but that's a fantastic rivalry win for them. And then Carolina Forest, knocking off Myrtle Beach. They were in our HTC game. They've played really well down the stretch, really finding their stride on offense.
Hartsville, 70-piece on Lakewood, a team that I think we kind of almost not, I wouldn't say wrote off, man, but just have not focused on since their, losses earlier on to Camden and cannot remember the other team. Anyway, they are streaking right now, playing really good football.
They have a tie as well.
Yes, a tie
Carolina Forest.
That's right. They are streaking, setting up a huge matchup with those South Florence Bruins for the region title this week. Going to be a game of the week. I'll go ahead and tell you guys that for Tuesday night. But Hartsville, what they're doing right now, super impressive. Next, I've got Emerald, a team that is, had some nice ball games, some tough ball games. They get a nice win over Fountain Inn on Friday. Great win there for Coach DeBose and the Vikings.
HAT, we talked about them, huge win over Blackfield Hilda. James Island, that impressive victory. They've been surging lately. Big win over Ashley Ridge. And then Catawba Ridge, man, the Copperheads, they've played really good football. They knock off Rock Hill this week.
Crestwood, a team that, last year was a darling. We talked a lot about them last year. This year we have not really, but they get a nice one over Darlington this weekend. Are playing good football there. And then Newberry, another team we've been really high on. I feel like just have not played a lot of games. They're really affected by the hurricane, missing a couple weeks there. Had a bye week in there as well. They get a monster win over Keenan, a team that has been pretty good this year. They hammer those boys. Great win for Coach Jeter and the boys.
Philip Simmons, we talked about them as well. Their big-time win over Timberland, thinks that pretty much locks up the region for them. Midland Valley, didn't they get 2 wins this week?
I believe they did.
Knocked off Airport and South Aiken, so that was really good for them. It was a team that was, early in the year really, really struggled, obviously having to replace Trey Dunbar, but it seems like they're playing good football here down the stretch.
And then Thomas Hayward, they hammer a Carolina team that can be really tough to prepare for with that offense they run. Great win there for Thomas Hayward. Anybody else on stock up for you, Jerel?
No, let's get to the bad news.
Looking at stock down now. Teams that on the flip side, we are worried about now. Maybe we're just not impressive. Pretty much on the week 9 slate. But one of them we mentioned earlier, Gaffney, a game where they score 7 points against a Dorman team that has been trending the wrong way. The Indians' offense, man, is really, really worrying me. They can't get anything together. It feels like a tough loss to the Cavaliers, and now sets up a bunch of crazy stuff in that region, it feels like.
Yeah, for sure. And one that I want to talk about, we've talked about them multiple times now, is Thurman. Their 2 losses are against really good teams in North Augusta and Saluda, but those are the best teams that we've played. You want to give teams credit, when credit is due. They've taken care of business with the rest of their schedule, but when they've played, this higher competition, it seems like they've struggled. I'm going to throw Marlboro County in there. That's a team that I'm worried about because I don't know what's going on there. The Bulldogs, just in 2 weeks too, it's really plummeted and gotten kind of weird over there in Bennettsville. And then I'm going to throw my alma mater. We've got to see your alma mater undefeated, doing all these great things. I know we're in year 1 in the Coach Goodman era, but you know me, I hate Berea. I'll say that if we got some Berea fans listening, and we didn't win the Dog Bowl on Saturday, so I got to go stock down to my Devil Dogs this week.
Last one I've got, Blackfield Hilda. Not the fact that they lost to HKT, but just weren't even in the ball game. A really non-competitive loss there. Surprising to see on Friday night for sure out of the Fighting Hawks. But that's all I got on Stockton. Anybody else from you, Jerel?
That is it for me this week. I just hate I had to do my Devil Dogs like that. But, man, I almost cried when I saw we lost. It was a tight game, though, 24-21. Seems like it was a really good game. Hopefully next year we're setting up those building blocks to have a really good season in 25.
And now our Players of the Week brought to you by the Georgia ADC. As always, guys, send us those stats on Facebook, on X, on Instagram, on email, whatever. We would love to get them from you guys. We always say, if you send us a stat, we're going to read the player out. Like, we're going to put it in the show. We're going to put it in our blog. So definitely get that out to us. Jerel, let's roll through these nominations. We had a lot of nominees this week, man. And then we'll give our winners at the end.
Yeah, we got Javen Cook, surprise, surprise, nominee every week. Love reading his stats. Running back there at Clinton, goes 12 rushes for 152 yards and a touchdown. Colton Bagwell, the gunslinger over there at Wren High School, had 3 passing TDs and a receiving touchdown. Gotta love that. The Wren Hurricanes are playing fantastic football here. Got Justin Wright at Columbia, goes 11 for 17 for 228, 3 touchdowns. Also had 28 rushing yards and a pick. Navi Boykin, want to give him a shout out at Camden, had a huge game in their win over Lancaster. Had a tight one, a close one, but it's good to see Camden getting in the win column there. Will Wilson, in his return for R&E, had 273 offensive yards and 3 touchdowns in their victory. Gage Duncan of May River had 8 rushes for 156 yards and 2 touchdowns. Also, Andrew Johnson at May River, 12 for 108 and 2 TDs. And Sean Mitchell, 10 rushes for 123 and a touchdown. Had Trenton Lynch of Spartanburg. This kid is really getting it done, and the Vikings are definitely getting done. They win over Burns, and he had 14 rushes for 186 yards and 2 TDs. William Gillespie of St. Joe's, 139 on the ground, 4 TDs, a forced fumble recovery, and a sack in their big win over Palmetto. We got the PD boys here. Colby Richardson goes 8 of 11 for 70 yards, a touchdown. Also had 16 totes for 111, 2 touchdowns. Getting it done on defense as well with 3 tackles and a PBU. Tristan Heckman had 15 carries for 135, a 2-point conversion, 8 tackles, 1 TFL, and a sack. Want to give a shout out to that PD Academy offensive line. Paved the way, had 200 rushing yards in that second half in the big time win over Bethesda. Trey Leonard of South Lawrence goes 9 carries for 175 and 2 TDs. Blake Patet, I know he's happy to see Will Wilson back there at quarterback. He has 11 catches for 114 yards and a TD. Caleb Sutton of Hillcrest goes 7 of 9 for 232 and 3 touchdowns. Talk about efficient there. His receiver, number 1 target, Weston Willis, had 6 catches for 165 and 2 TDs. Landon Jackson of Berkeley, 10 tackles, 2 TFLs, and a safety. We had Chamberlain Thompson of Berkeley with 15 more tackles, a TFL, and a forced fumble. Bubba Alexander of Hammond goes 12 tackles and 1 forced fumble. Grayson Clary of Daniel goes 17 of 23 for 280, 4 TDs. Also had 5 carries for 25 yards and 2 more touchdowns. Colt Bailey, a former winner, Wardlaw Academy, goes 5 of 6 for 111, 2 TDs. Also had 17 carries for 258 yards and 5 more TDs. Want to give Colt a special shout out. Saw that he won a National Player of the Week award from 8-Man Extreme. So Colt has been getting it done and getting noticed all over the country. Zion Gilbert of South Florence goes 12 rushes for 151 yards.
And Jerel, this week, our Players of the Week, we usually do 3. Had to do 4 this week. We got a late entry during the show recording, so I actually went with 4 this week, man. But let's start off with Camarius Bomar at Westside. Had a 100-yard kickoff return touchdown, 2 receiving TDs, and 240 all-purpose yards for the Westside Rams in their big win. Next up, we've got Jamarion Fling at Dillon. 40 rushes, 276, and 6 touchdowns in that win over Walkamaw. Fling, a guy that had a huge year last year. Wasn't getting a ton of time earlier this year due to, some other, backs in the backfield and just things like that. But he has turned on the last couple weeks, had a 276, 6 touchdown game. Great game out of Jamarion this past week. We've also got Jaden Martin, 6 rushes, 66 yards, a touchdown, 3 picks, including a pick 6 in Crestwood's big win. And then Jaron Fox of Carolina Forest, 34 rushes, 357 yards, 5 touchdowns on the ground, 65 receiving yards as well. Totals 422 offensive yards, man. Huge game out of Jaron. Just some great performances all across the state. But shout out to our 4 winners this week, Jerel. Jamarion Fling, Jaden Martin, Jaron Fox, and Camarius Bomar. Just awesome stats from those guys.
Man, just fantastic stuff, man. I always love reading these stats. Sometimes there's so much I got to stumble through them a little bit, but it was really cool to get all the nominees this week. So it was great through our winners. we had so many good stat lines this week that we had to go with 4. We just could not cut it down to 3 as we typically do, but continue to send those stats in, and we really appreciate it. If you would do that as early as possible, because we do record these on Sunday.
Yeah, like I said, Facebook, Twitter, email, whatever, man. Love to have you guys send us those. We put out a post on social media as well, asking for them so you can reply to that post, whatever's the easiest. But love to get those stats from you guys each and every week. One note I've got here, Drew, I don't know if you have any or not, but I've got Trinity Collegiate head coach Jared Amell picked up his 100th win with the Titans on Friday. Hats off there to Coach Amell. Jerel, any other notes from you from week 9?
Yeah, I had one note that I'm trying to pull up on my phone right now as we're recording. I'm trying to fill in some time. I want to give a shout out. We don't talk enough about the specialists here, and I want to give a shout out to Will Love, the quarterback, the kicker at Spartanburg. I cannot get my words out tonight. It's a 54-yard field goal in their big time win over Burns. Just want to give a shout out. He wasn't in our Player of the Week nominees, but that was an impressive kick there. We're hitting 50-yarders in high school football now, Kev.
Hey, that's slight work, man. That's slight work for those boys. But thanks to all of our people who sent us notes as well. Like I said about Coach Amell there, and Will Love as well. The George Agency has been serving the insurance needs of South Carolina for over 40 years. They're a full-line insurance agency concentrated in employee benefits and health insurance with an office in Mullins and Murrells Inlet, but they can help you all across the state. They have clients in Greer, Rock Hill, Columbia, and more, so wherever you are, they can help. Give Bradley, Wayne, Richard, and the crew a call or check them out online at thegeorgeagency.net. That's thegeorgeagency.net. Jerel, our Folly Row question. This also ties into what could have been a note, the fact that it happened this week. But what is our Folly Row question we've got for this week in week 9?
I feel like now that you've set it up that way, that we should, take the time to acknowledge these fine young men who were announced as Mr. Football finalists earlier in the week. Malik Clark, the wide receiver at Rock Hill, Marquez Henderson. I hope I'm saying that right. I've heard different pronunciations. I just know he's going to be a Tiger next year, and that's all that matters. The outstanding running back there for BHP, Shed Surratt, the O lineman at Gaffney, Will Wilson, the quarterback of Richland Northeast, and Cutter Woods, the quarterback at Westside. Those are our 2024 Mr. Football finalists in the state of South Carolina. But to tie that in, I wanted to ask you, man, it's so much fun to cover these kids and really, just give them as many accolades and shout outs as possible, because I do still feel like our state gets overlooked when it comes to the grand scheme of high school football. And we have athletes all over the place. Who are some kids, that may have, maybe been on our Super 75 list, some kids that might have surged this year, who you think were kind of, should have made that finalist list? Because as we've talked about throughout the week, we think that the finalist list should be extended to more players.
Man, a lot of really good athletes. Like you said, we had so many options across the state, but a few that jumped out at me, I'll say a couple. I'll go over to you, and then I'll maybe come back with a couple more as well. But Jamarcus Smith at Gaffney has had a huge year for them.
Yeah.
A big-time athlete there, has had a solid career for the Indians, really. I thought just the play of what he's done this year certainly warranted a spot there for him. And then Finley Polk at Northwestern, man, a guy with 100-plus career touchdowns at either the 4A or 5A level. He's played both now. I guess it's Northwestern moving up, but that is a awesome career, and he's a kid that's going to Gardner-Webb, man. So he's got the next level locked up as well. Definitely thought he could have deserved a spot there in the finalists for sure for what he's done over his career at Northwestern High School.
Man, the biggest one, and again, this is not to take away from any of the finalists because we love these guys. The biggest one that we talked about when we saw the list come out, A.J. Brand, the quarterback there at Irmo, who really just does it all for those guys. He's really, the straw that stirs the drink for those guys. Obviously, a coach's son, going to Virginia Tech. Really surprised that he didn't make that finalist list, because we have seen the list be extended sometimes to more players. And a kid that I want to give a shout out to, he had his senior season cut short over at Christ Church. That's Jackson Rep, man. This kid was an absolute baller. One of the favorite, players that we got to cover over the years. Dealt with a knee injury this season. But Jackson Rep, man, he's not very big, but he's fast, quick, and just really, really helped his team. You can definitely see that they're missing him this season over at Christ Church.
A couple more that I've got. Demarion Coe at Hartsville, a kid that has played a lot of football there, has got all kinds of records in the special teams plays for them, but plays a great job back there at safety DB. He's had an awesome career for the Red Fox. Thought he had a chance to make a spot there as well. And then how about a guy like Javon Edwards at South Aiken? Man, just unreal stats over his career as well. Thought he could have earned a spot, just what he's done, just the longevity of what he has put together for thoroughbreds. Man, he's a kid that could have been there as well, I felt like.
Cool story I want to share, man. I got to meet Javon Edwards after his freshman season. I went to a Clemson, South Carolina game, was sitting in the stands watching the game. Him and his dad were next to us watching that football game. I guess this is, 3 years ago now. And, his dad's like, oh, yeah, my son here, he's starting at South Aiken. He kind of started halfway through this season, and he's going to be a really good player. And I was like, is he really? And I pull up his stats on Max Prep, ran for over 1,000 yards as a freshman, just continued to get it done throughout his career. So Juju Edwards, man, he has been a fantastic player. Someone else I want to mention, Kamari's Bomar. Obviously, he was
Had him on my list. Yep.
great at Burns. He's come over to Westside and just done phenomenal things. Obviously, one of our players of the week this week plays both ways, plays special teams, just completely gets it done. Jaquel Holman's another kid, South Carolina commit. You got to know when you're talking about these 1A schools, these 2A schools, these kids are really playing both ways. They are the focal point. Everybody knows they're getting the ball. Everybody expects them to kind of carry the load each and every week. He's had a fantastic career for those guys. But Jaquel Holman's another one I wanted to shout out.
Great point there. Jerel, we've named off probably 5 to 10 names already. We'd like to go for another 10, 20.
Oh, yeah.
Honestly, man, there are tons of great talent across the state, but certainly some guys that, not taking anything away from the guys that got nominated. We thought
not at all.
The finalists are awesome. Like, they are
Yes.
great. But we could have seen the finalist list go a little bit bigger. It would have been fine with us. So what's the harm in naming 10 or 15, whatever. But anyway, great question there for our follower question this week. Well, anything else, Jerel, here, on week 9, as we, finally, I guess, we'll start to wrap up the regular season. We got 2 official weeks left, I guess, a week 10 and now a new week 11. But, man, a lot of stuff has been decided, but a lot of stuff still has to be decided as far as regions and playoff implications go as well.
Man, this is my favorite week. Obviously this is supposed to be the last week of the season. Gets a little jumbled up because of what we had to deal with middle of the season. But not just like your region championships, man. You start running into rivalries, some really heated rivalries this time of the year. To coincide with these big time region championships. So I'm really excited about the slate for week 10. It is going to be extremely difficult to pick out those Kona games of the week this week. But I am excited for another great week of football. But I don't know, man, it's just something, when it gets to rivalry time, those are always my favorite types of games because those atmospheres are crazy. You'll see the message boards jumping all week. You'll see the Facebook and the Twitter posts and all that good stuff. So really excited about this week of football.
Yeah, and check us out Tuesday night about 7:15 on Facebook and YouTube for our Week 10 preview show. It'll be a lot of fun going through these big matchups across the state. Follow us there and on Twitter/X, Instagram, YouTube, and more at Movin Chains. Website, movinchains.com. Podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. Our recap show comes out Sunday night, Monday morning, typically on the podcast platforms. We got some great coaching reviews lineup as we go into the playoffs, some great other content as well. So check us out all across our social pages. Get your MTC merch right now. Our T-shirts, we got a navy blue T-shirt, a black T-shirt, gray, and a pink for the ladies. Order yours now. We've got a gray hoodie and a lighter gray/white hoodie. We've got all kinds of Richardson hats. We got a gray front, a black front. Lots of great options for you there. A gray and a black toboggan as well. mtcgear.sc@gmail.com. You can email us there for questions or orders. We've got photos on all of our social pages as well, so definitely check those out and make your purchases now. Love to have you guys supporting our gear and sporting our gear as well at some ball games. Love to see you there and get to talk to you about some of that great stuff, Jerel.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't know if you wanted to go through the list of, who we got to see at PD. We finally got to the end of the show, but we can abbreviate the list if you want to. But I just wanted, again, before we wrapped up and got out of here, just send my sincere, appreciation to everybody who was, so hospitable while we were down there at PD this weekend.
Yeah, definitely have you guys a little teaser. Need to tune in for our Food Review Friday. You're gonna enjoy that one from Jerel and myself from Mike's Grill at PD. But yeah, let's start, man. Let's shout out Coach Davis and Coach Drew and Coach King. Obviously, Miss Martin there working the gate, super nice to us. Let's see, our buddy Kyle Herring, he was at the ball game there. We saw lots of friends. Coach Spivey, good to see him. We talked to our buddies Bradley and Scott and Charlie and Jarrett. Coach Daniels was there. Man, just name after name. Just a lot of fun, man. There's too many to go through. I know I'm forgetting folks, and I apologize if I talked to you there on Friday. Even if I didn't, man, we had a great time getting to see a lot of folks and getting to see a lot of people. Like you said, Jerel, they were very appreciative of us being there, man. That's really cool because obviously, we try to bring exposure to every level, every kid, every school that we can, man. And a lot of these times, the guys. A lot of schools appreciate it. They really do, but just they seem to go over the top at PD on Friday, and that was really neat and really, really fun for me. I hope it was fun for you, man. Just a great atmosphere and a great experience over there at the lawn.
Most definitely, man. It was fantastic. Got to make it back sometime. Maybe we'll be able to, if the state championships work out, might be able to catch those if they fall on a Saturday or something like that. So you never know how that goes, though. I don't know if that schedule's out yet, but we'll get there when we get there. But it was a fantastic time. It was good to get, not just there. We actually we hung out in Latta this weekend too. So met some fine folks down there as well. So we made it to the PD, people. So stop yelling at us.
That's
right. We're not just in the upstate.
Yeah, I guys, I know my Twitter DMs and my Instagram DMs, even TikTok, have been blowing up this week. Y'all got to come here. You got to come here. You got to check this guy out. We're trying. I promise we're trying, man. We're trying. Anybody else? Like I do want to shout out, obviously, Coach King and Miles Trussell giving us time after the game, interviewing them. Also, former, I don't know who's a player of the week. I know he's a nominee several times, Jerel. Hudson Spivey. I got to see him at the ball game, too, on Friday. Had to ask about Jerel getting the hot dog, too. So that was fun to catch up with Hudson and those boys down there. But, yeah, certainly a lot of fun. Our friends at Williamson's Printing who do our merch, they were there. Got to see Brittany in the crowd from that group there. But, yeah, lots of good people. Any final thoughts, Jerel? I'm just going to keep thinking of random folks the next 10 seconds. So let's just, wrap this up here before the show goes for 2 hours long. You just go ahead and give me some final thoughts, and we'll just close it out.
Yeah, we've hit we've gone a little bit long on this one, but yeah, it was a great week of football, as it always is in the Palmetto State. Looking forward to Tuesday so we can start previewing an exciting week 10 as we start putting a bow on this regular season. These last 2 weeks, we get a week 11, so an extended regular season here, but just excited to do that. There was something else I wanted to say, and it just left my brain. So it's time to go.
YouTube, PD, who knows with you?
YouTube, hey, hit subscribe on that YouTube now. Hit those likes.
500, Jerel. We passed 500 on YouTube. That's good for us.
Hey, man, hit those likes on Facebook, too. We got way more followers than we got likes. So subscribe, everything. You know what it is.
For sure. Well, this has been our Week 9 recap show presented by Folly Row. Moving the Chains is always brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. For Jerel Hendricks, I'm Kevin Thomas. We'll talk to you guys soon.
Get ready for the ultimate South Carolina high school football experience with Movin The Chains. From previews to recaps, we've got you covered. Dive into our expert preview shows, predicting winners and sharing insights. Then join us post-game for the thrilling recaps, exclusive interviews, and highlights you won't find anywhere else. Plus, connect with fellow fans on our Friday night spaces on Twitter/X. No one covers South Carolina high school football like us. Join us at Movin Chains on all social media platforms and visit movinchains.com today.